Hello, good afternoon. I'm here because I am a father. And I'm here because of the discussions what I had with my children, other children and young adults over the last couple of years. And I think it is more time to talk about depression and its bright sides. Yes, there are bright sides. First, depression is very treatable. And second, unlike many other mental health issues, people with depressions are not crazy. We are not any dumber or smarter than anybody else. We are pretty normal. Quick as an explanation, what is depression? Everybody knows the feeling when you get negative feedback on something what you have done. Somebody cuts into you in traffic, and you have this feeling inside of you what maybe even want to take over your frontal lobe. You want to do something, but then shortly afterwards this feeling is passing away. Sometimes that can take minutes, sometimes takes hours, sometimes you need a good night of sleep, and then the next day you may even have forgotten about this entire event, but at least this emotion inside of you is gone. That's normal. For people with clinical depression, that feeling stays. That stays sometimes for days, months, or even years. And your life becomes very numb and very dark, and it's uncomfortable. I didn't like it. I want to tell you quick about my story. I had my first signs of depression end of high school. And at that time, I did make two major mistakes. The first mistake what I had was, I looked at society and humanity and the earth we live on, and I thought we are destined to fail. This is not going to work out. Eventually, we'll all be gone, and the sun is going to grow and burn the earth away. On a great grand picture, nothing matters. And life, as I had it, was pointless. And I have to admit, to a certain extent, I still do believe it. It just gives me now a little bit more comfort to know that on a great grand view, nothing really matters what I do. So I don't have to struggle with the small decision as much as I did, because it doesn't matter so much. It's not that important. The second mistake what I've done was that I tried to not feel. I didn't talk to anybody about how I felt, what I felt. And I just didn't communicate it for a very, very long time. And then about a year later on, after school already, at some point I went to my parents and I just told them I just couldn't deal with it anymore. They set me up with a therapist, and the first session what I had was by far the most profound and the greatest session what I have had so far. I came into the room and the therapist just asked me, "How do you feel?" And I just started crying, because I think at that point I just didn't really try to feel or express what I felt. I never thought that I was in a situation where I was able and allowed to just express what I felt. And that was a profound moment. Then later on I had two more attempts at psychotherapy, which little to no success. While I was in university, I met a neurologist and a psychiatrist, who helped me to look at my situation with from a more physiological perspective. And he prescribed medication to me which worked great. For me at least, it did work great. Now I know that I was very lucky, because a lot of people were not that lucky. To not only get a diagnosis is very difficult, but then to find the right medication is very tricky, because at the end of the day is a trial and error process. Sorry? Trial and error process. But I was lucky. This medication did work. And now many years later, I can look at this situation, what has happened to me, and I can say what I had, what happened there was not uncommon at all. Depending on the source, you find numbers from between 15 to 40% of mental health issues in youth and young adults. It is not uncommon. To say it in the words of my father, you're not special. And he was right, I was not special at all. There's a lot of people going through that, and all of you have talked to somebody with the same emotional problems what I was stuck in. And you will, because it happens a lot. So what happened then? I had this medication, what worked, and then I learned a strategy for myself, which I would describe as focus and distract. So I focused like stepping into a ring, and you have an opponent right in front of you, and if you don't focus at that point, you will get punched in the face. It's very helpful if you want a distraction. Good. Next thing I did was the same for work. I focused on my work for a long time, worked very long hours, and it helps you to distract your thoughts from everything else what might be happening in your brain. And that worked for a long time very good. But as you all maybe think already, that maybe was not the right strategy. But for me, it was working for about 35 years. And then about 11 years ago, something changed. I became a father, and at that point, stakes were raised. I thought, for me, that was fine, but this is not about me anymore. There is a saying what described my thought at that time very well, and that is, face your demons or they will raise your children. And I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want demons involved at all. So I thought I have to work on my problems. I need to find different ways. So first, I tried to feel my feelings again. Very uncomfortable to this day. Second, I remembered what I've learned already, what we actually all know. That is, first, sports, physical activity. If you do sports, you will feel better pretty much immediately. So I added that into my daily routine. Third one, sleep. If you sleep better, you will feel better. Everyone has experienced that already. The challenge is just to get it constant. And my wife hates it to this day that every day, 10 o'clock, I switch off the lights and I go to bed. But it helps me. I feel better. And the third thing, and this is of course the most difficult thing because it's a little bit different for anybody, and is eat and drink. But in short, what you consume is the basis of what your body can work with. If you eat better, if you drink better, you will feel better. During the time of COVID, I was here in China, and that gave me a lot of time to read up on things I wanted to learn things about, like, for example, how the medication worked, what I was taking. And I learned that we actually don't know how it works. We actually have no idea how our brain and mind actually works and how this medication worked or medication like it. We just know that about 30% of people, for them, this medication works, but we don't know why. And for 70% of people, they go through sometimes excruciating situations to discover that was the wrong medication, and it doesn't help. And while I kept on reading, I stumbled upon many different fields of science which were really fascinating. And I don't want to go into all of them, I just want to mention one as an example. Did you know that different shapes, just by looking at them, they can make you more or less happy? Theoretically, it sounds crazy, but everybody intrinsically know that already. If you walk through a city, you feel less happy compared to walk through the woods. And yet, we all live in a city. While learning all of these different things and learning about all of the different things what we didn't know, I discovered that there's millions of people globally working on the same questions what I was looking for. And I realized that there's a few basics. What we all know and what we can do is, if you are in a setup, in an environment where you feel like you can have feelings and you can express these feelings and there's people around you with empathy, listening to you and also telling you their feelings, then you will be fine eventually. Everybody has a tough time once in a while, but if you are in that setup, you will be fine eventually. So this is what I want to tell to all the young people, especially, I have to admit, to the boys. Talk about your feelings. They are there and you don't know what they mean. Try to express them. Find people, talk to them. Put your phone away once in a while. Use the time, talk to each other. And to all the parents, try to remember your own childhood. Try to remember what you would have liked to be different. Thank you.